illusion that what you think is real. Oh right, yes, that's right.
So it's another place.
No, what's happening is the attention is fully engaged in the moment. The need for identity dissolves away. The function of identity is really related to relative activity. So, for instance, I might know that I need to open that door, and to open the door I need to get the key, so I have to recognise that, I have to remember that there's a door, I have to remember where the key is, and so we have this relationship. All animals have a similar process. A dog remembers where the bone is that he buried yesterday, and that he buried a bone. And there's that relationship to the bone, but it's a very, in a dog, it's the need for identity is quite minimal. In human beings, it's massive. You look at a toucan. It's sort of gone a bit over the top with its beak. We've gone a bit over the top with the thinking process. We have a mind like a toucan's beak as far as ego identity is concerned. So we have to recognize it's just mind, it's just a beak. It's not like, wow, you see what I mean? It's taken over that aspect of associative thinking, has impeded the ability to be happy to some extent. Yeah, we don't like it, but we won't want to have one. Yeah. So what happens is identity creates this. So to feed this beak or toucan mind, we have to keep creating objects. The more that we become centered in the present moment, the need for those objects dissipates. But when we've spent some time allowing ego to build up again, and it observes that mind is drifting away from that relativity, it keeps trying to create really strong images to disturb and to separate out. So because I'm here and the door's there, I'm here and the door's there. And so it becomes a really important sort of, it grips at that to hold on to this idea, this is me. Yeah, it's afraid of dying. It's that fear of identity being lost. And if you can recall in childhood or watch children, you observe that a lot of the time there's complete absorption without a sense of this is me here looking at that there. There's just absorption. There's no real ego taking place. Yeah. So you're reinforcing that habit of coming back into the moment. And the more that you reinforce it, the more less afraid ego identity becomes, because it recognises it's not it's not killing me. It's okay to disappear. Because whilst we're obviously spending time in the singular state, that is, a state which is not separate. It's an important distinction here. You can't actually say it's one. It's not possible to say that, but you can say it's not two. Whilst that's going on, at the same time, there's an identity being cultivated, which is okay about that, which is okay about disappearing. So that if you look at your attitude towards letting go of self, and I don't know, a pop star's attitude, or particularly that sort of celebrity, it's more about building the self. And certainly, if you look at Hindu culture, it's about perfecting the self. It's about Atman, the soul man. Whereas this practice is anatta, which is the relinquishing of self. And in that sense, you can't. It's not a question of extinguishing self. It's relinquishing the dependency on self, and that a dependency on self by the very nature of self creates an external object upon which you're dependent and which you relate to for a sense of your security. And if that self starts to feel threatened, then the object which is being reflected out will be threatening. It will be, I don't want to lose that thing, or I'm afraid this is going to happen, or whatever. It becomes a stronger emotion which helps to reinforce and keep that fixation, that mind is fixed on the object that you're suffering from. And so suffering in that sense is a natural consequence of self being allowed to sort of run riot and create agitation.
I've experienced all that.
Yes.
It's been really useful coming back to the rebellion and letting go, and also maybe just thinking,
Yeah.
which takes away the analysis and think about
Exactly. If you can name it, at that point, in a sense, you've let it go. It may still be there, but you're not sort of swimming in it. You haven't become it. Yeah.
It's quite free.
Yeah.
It's just thinking.
Yes.
Whereas it can, at other times, seem more
Yeah.
as emotion, like feeling overwhelmed, fearful.
Well, it's very similar to you realise suddenly you realise that you're very small. You're smaller than mushrooms, and you're walking around under these mushrooms, and it's beginning to rain, and the drips are huge and can potentially hurt you. So you're trying to cower between these mushrooms, and the mushrooms are all floating away, and then you realise, hang on, I'm dreaming. This is a dream, it's not real. At that point, you reckon that's like saying this is thinking. But whilst you're down there in the mushrooms and hoping to hide behind the mushrooms, and the mushrooms are disappearing, it's real. You're really contextually trying to, cling to the stem of a mushroom. It's actually not real. And the moment that you recognise, oh, this is thinking, and it doesn't matter whether you continue clinging to the mushroom or not, because you can see, oh, it's a dream. I'm dreaming. There's just dreaming going on. So that ability to recognise this is what's going on diffuses the belief in self, diffuses the belief in that one has to reinforce or become completely emotionally committed to clinging to a mushroom stem. And that's what a lot of the thinking processes are doing. They're grinding on, chewing at things that are unnecessary. Certainly unnecessary to the present moment. And you also can recognise it may be useful for me to, when I actually need to go through the door, I will need the key to open the door, and I've remembered that. I've mapped out the action, but I don't have to keep looking, and it's no good me thinking about it now because I'm not going through the door yet. So it's also recognising that much of what we're doing is preparing for a future event that we were going to have to suffer. But your whole life could be spent preparing for that moment where you go through the door. Do you scan the body when you're lying there doing nothing?
Sometimes I feel to see sort of what's happening in this area.
And you're putting your attention into the breathing. Yeah, okay. And that's good practice. If you're not sleeping, just make sure that your body is reasonably open and the breathing's in the belly. So, a little exercise for today in terms of sustaining the attention. I was doing it in the arm drops. So you're in this position, and you're about to raise the arms, and you watch the arms going up. And you keep your attention with the arms going up all the way. So you're keeping the attention on the sensuality of it all the way through to the very end of the out-breath. And this sustaining of attention is very helpful. So if you could find some activity to do that in your punctuation period, it would be very useful. And then also in the work period, just occasionally find some activity that you feel lasts an out breath, and just follow that activity. Try and stay with the sensuality for the whole out breath, and then ease off. It's a bit like shikantaza practice of pinning the attention to the sensation at the moment and then resting back. Yeah, just doing it for one breath, and hopefully prior to that just checking the body is well balanced or centered, so that because otherwise it's a little bit difficult to do that. Yeah. Okay.